Any constable is painting a narrative. We just seen Cheryl Miller apologize to Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White in the whole thing. We seen Caitlin Clark look like she was scripted. Caitlin Clark said something about riding for Steph. We ride for Steph. Caitlin Clark don't even speak like that. And so for that to be a notion, my goodness. Now, there's more to this live that I want to pull up real quick because this is the part.
A media narrative has been taking shape around Caitlin Clark, and the direction it is moving is difficult to ignore. A prominent WNBA insider opened her podcast by arguing that Clark needs to recognize where her influence ends and stop overshadowing the franchise around her. The framing was clear. Clark is the problem, and the team's dysfunction flows from her inability to shrink herself. The argument being pushed is that Clark cannot be bigger than the Indiana Fever organization if the franchise is going to win a championship. But history makes that position difficult to defend.
That I want to pull up real quick because this is the part right here where things get a little, I don't know.
Want to piss people off, but
Okay.
my hot take, I think that for the Fever to win a championship, Caitlin Clark cannot be bigger than that franchise. And what I mean by that,
what superstar player has won a franchise and was bigger than every superstar player is bigger?
Every transformative player in professional sports has been larger than the team they played. For Michael Jordan leaving Chicago, LeBron James departing Cleveland, Tom Brady walking away from New England. In each case, the organization suffered.
Has won a franchise and was bigger than every superstar player is bigger than the franchise. What happened when Michael Jordan retired? What happened that year and a half? What happened when LeBron left Cleveland? What happened when Tom Brady left New England? What happened when these said players left these different teams, bro? What you mean the player can't be bigger than the she is bigger than the franchise. And this whole situation.
The player was not the liability. The structure around them was. Clark is already bigger than the Fever by most measures. She is bigger than the entire league. The podcast continued by bringing up the sideline confrontation between Clark and Stephanie White, comparing it to documented conflicts between Draymond Green and Steve Kerr in Golden State.
This whole situation is so crazy is that she's bigger than the entire league. Now, in these next couple clips we're about to go over here, she's going to talk about Caitlin Clark needing to take a back seat. We're going to hear Zena say Caitlin Clark need to be benched, and they need to start Raven Johnson immediately. Is it me?
The distinction the commentators drew was that Green and Kerr had nearly a decade of shared history behind them when those moments occurred. White and Clark do not. This is a first-year coaching relationship, and the tension playing out in public reflects that gap, not some inherent problem with Clark. What gets lost in that framing is the professional structure underneath it all. White and Clark are employed by the same organization.
Is it me, or does Caitlin Clark need to get the hell out of Indianapolis? Because it looked like they don't have her best interest right now. And there is a narrative that is being painted in front of us right now, in front of the world, that is letting us know they don't have no commitment to keeping Caitlin Clark. They don't have no commitment with staying there.
White functions as a manager, not a parent or an authority figure of a different class. Coaches have been removed throughout NBA, and WNBA history, precisely because the player held more value to the franchise than the system being run. Bill Parcells and Tom Brady, LeBron and multiple Cleveland coaching staffs. The pattern is not new.
Like they want this thing to be about the fever.
It's not that she can't be everything that's expected of generational talent, right? Like you think about any other league or even any other team in the WNBA that has players, franchise players of this caliber. You know, I'm thinking about Asia Wilson, before that, Candace Parker in LA, and then even in Chicago. Like you go down the list.
The segment also flagged a moment caught on footage showing Kelsey Mitchell, apparently, directing Clark to move to a different spot on the floor. During a live game situation, media commentators described it as Mitchell calming Clark down. Observers watching the same clip drew a different conclusion about the power dynamic on display. One podcast participant referred to Clark as someone who competes so intensely that even losing a pre-game warm-up can affect her mentally, then used the word crazy to describe that quality. The description was framed as a compliment about competitive drive, but the choice of language, directed publicly at the face of the league, carried its own weight regardless of the intent behind it.
Diana Taurasi, Sue Bird, teams have had players who exemplify the franchise, become the franchise, embody the franchise. But what I mean is the what's circulating around Caitlin cannot overtake the franchise. And part of that is not even her own fault, right? Like part of that is not even you know,
the broader picture being assembled across these media appearances points toward an organized effort to reframe Clark as a disruptive force rather than a contained talent. Organizations with genuine commitment to their franchise, players, do not allow that kind of narrative to circulate. Unchallenged .500 record through 11 games. Scrutiny around the organization and its handling of Caitlin Clark has intensified significantly. Rather than addressing the team's performance issues, much of the mainstream media coverage has focused on peripheral incidents, most notably the widely circulated moment where Clark appeared to miss a high five from teammate Tyra Harris during a loss. The incident was framed by multiple outlets as deliberate, despite Clark being visibly locked in on the game in a high-pressure moment.
Not even, you know, her doing in the sense of, we've seen players blow up with their coaches in the past. We've seen these kind of moments happen in past star situations. But what's different here is every single thing that Caitlin does is not only under a microscope, but it's broadcast for everybody to see. And that's something.
What superstar athlete do not have their life broadcasted?
NBA veteran and former LA Laker Michael Thompson has emerged as one of the more prominent voices weighing in on the situation. Speaking on Jason Whitlock's program, Thompson referenced source around the league suggesting the Fever may already be moving on from Clark. Trade speculation has been circulating, with the LA Sparks mentioned as a potential destination. Thompson was careful to note the sourcing, but described the information as coming from reliable contacts within league circles. Beyond the trade rumors, Thompson made pointed observations about how Clark has been deployed in Indiana.
Sports reporters. He's an old school journalist guy, writing hit pieces. What's going on? All of a sudden, we got hit pieces. We got hit pieces coming out about Caitlin Clark ignoring Ty Harris on a high five. They're losing. Caitlin Clark's got razor focused, but now all of a sudden she's purposely shooing away her teammate?
His argument was that the organization drafted a generational offensive talent and then proceeded to constrain her within a system that strips away everything that made her exceptional. He compared it to pulling Serena Williams off her serve, converting a power hitter into a contact batter, or taking one of football's most dominant linemen and moving him to long snapper. The through line in every comparison was the same, taking a player's greatest strength and choosing not to use it. Thompson and Whitlock were both vocal about their surprise at Christie Sides being dismissed following Clark's dominant second-half performance in the 2024 season. Sides had been openly enthusiastic about Clark's impact and was publicly credited with helping unlock her potential.
Purposely shooing away her teammate? She's ignoring her teammate? I don't buy that. Call me crazy. I don't buy it. Let's start here. Michael Thompson, LA Laker great, fired a shot the other day, heard around the world about hearing from a source, and I listened to Jason Whitlock. I went back after his show ended today and watched the
The decision to move on from her immediately after that run remains a point of confusion for outside observers. The piece generated significant backlash and was widely characterized as a hit piece rather than substantive criticism. The New York Post also covered the high five incident, framing it as Clark snubbing a teammate in an awkward moment caught on camera. The question of representation has also come up. Clark's agents have been criticized for apparent inaction, both in failing to navigate the Nike situation effectively earlier and now in allowing the current media narrative to go unchallenged.
show ended today and watched the Michael Thompson part in its entirety, and he made it very clear they have reliable sources around the league, and those sources are hearing the fever are out on Caitlin Clark. That's what they're hearing. There's been a lot of fire around Caitlin Clark being moved somewhere. The LA Sparks has been brought up. Michael Thompson also said the following.
The argument is that a more aggressive agency would be in direct contact with Indiana's front office, pushing back on both the public framing and the on-court role Clark has been given. Agents at top-tier firms regularly manage exactly this kind of situation, and the absence of any visible pushback has drawn chin. Attendance and ticket pricing tell part of the story on their own. Home game tickets in Indiana have dropped to as low as $11 on resale platforms, and no upcoming home dates are anywhere near selling out. Away games continue to draw higher prices, suggesting Clark's draw exists, just not in an environment where the product on the floor reflects her actual ability.
Michael Thompson also said the following. Here's a clip about the fact that it seems like the team purposely or for whatever reason does not want to use Caitlin Clark in the manner that she needs to be used. Like what was the purpose? And one of the things he said is basically they drafted an all-world talent just to try to make her a player.
The organizational structure question keeps coming back to the same point. Kelsey Mitchell is being treated as the team's primary option, and that positioning appears to be a direct result of last season's results, which may have given the coaching staff a skewed read on who the Fever's actual franchise player is. The view from outside is that Stephanie White entered this season believing the team runs through Mitchell, and that belief has shaped every personnel decision and play calling tendency since. If that assessment holds at the front office level as well, if Amber Cox and Kelly Krauskopf share the same view, then the entire leadership structure is seen as misaligned with what the roster actually has in Clark. Owner Harb Simon holding that front office accountable is the logical conclusion being drawn by those watching from the outside.
Run-of-the-mill point guard. Crazy. Michael Thompson.
This in any sport, it'd be like taking the serve away from Serena Williams. A coach telling her, "No, I don't like that big serve you have. So let's have a more traditional serve, one that's not as hard and can't. It's like taking the bat out of Otani's hands and turning him into a single sitter. It's like taking the second best lineman in the history of football next to Ball State's Jason Whitlock's, the late great Larry Allen from the Cowboys, and turning him into a long snapper. They've taken away Caitlin's superpowers. And when you draft a player like Caitlin, like a Steph.
Larry Allen was a beast, folks. Maybe the best left tackle ever. There's some other good ones out there, great ones out there, but he was a beast.
Steph Curry, a Magic, and Isaiah Thomas, of course, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant. When you have a player of that caliber of a Wemby, you play to their strengths, and you build a caliber of a Wemby, you play to their strengths, and you build around a franchise player such as that. And it seems like they brought the franchise player in to make them play the way they want to play, as opposed to adopting to her style and what made her the most.
Yeah, they brought her in, but they don't want to use her in the manner that made her a superstar in college coming in. By the way, during this entire thing, Whitlock and Thompson both said they were shocked they got rid of Christy Sides. And, because of Caitlin Clark's performance the second half of that season. Man, something's going on. Evelyn DR, she posted, the agenda is blatant as hell. They're desperately needing Caitlin Clark to check one of those first three boxes to be accepted in the WNBA. She checked none. Just a straight up